What's going on, Convicted Mindset fam? I'm here with one of my most interesting guests to date, Jarvis Guthrie, literally a man that has a tale to tell. I'm excited. It's something normally, we talk about finance, we talk about some of our favorite F words, faith, fitness, finance, family, and farming. Today, we're going to get into another F word. So, Jarvis, thank you for taking the time to bless us with your story, brother.
Thanks for having me here today. I'm very excited.
I'm excited to hear from you. So tell the people who you are. Tell the people, let's start from the beginning. What makes Jarvis Jarvis? And let's walk through your journey together.
All right. My name is Jarvis Guthrie. I'm 29 years old, and I'm here in Florida. And what makes Jarvis Jarvis is my resilience and my faith in God.
I love that. I love that. Has your faith in God always been where it is today?
No. My faith started as a seed, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew. The more I went through, the more my faith has increased.
And do you think it increases because life has challenges, or do you think it increases because life is easy?
No, my faith increases because God is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He's getting more magnified in my life. Amen.
That's the truth, right? It's the truth. I'm always interested. One of the things, you've got children, I've got children. One of the things that I'm always like really, really focused on and acutely aware of, especially as a dad, is I want to make sure these kids understand that the life is not easy.
Right.
Right. And so how do you balance that out, being a dad, going through what you've gone through, which we'll unpack a little bit later. And you and I, we want to give our kids a good life.
Right. So the greatest sermon ever is not the one that's preached, it's the one that's lived out. So when our children are watching us, that's how we are able to exercise our faith and teach them about life, is through our actions.
Man, that's a good one that's lived out. And it's funny you mentioned that, because so many of these cats, and you know this, I know this, the incarcerated community, some of these dudes are doing time on this side of the fence.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's definitely a sad thing to see, because the only difference between people on the inside and outside is four walls. There's all types of prisons. You can be in a financial prison, a spiritual prison, a physical prison, so the battle is always in the mind, always.
That's where it's won or that's where it's lost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So let's rewind. Let's talk about how did you come up in the justice system? What was your story?
Man, I had it all, brother. I had the good grades. I had the good parents. I had the great support system. I had everything. But one thing I lacked was a relationship with Christ. So when I turned, I would say 13 or 14, I grew to 6'3", and I was dunking in middle school. I was talented. I was athletic. I had everything going for me, and that seed of pride that also grew with me. I started smelling myself when college recruiters began to recruit me, and they were telling me all these things. It really got to my head, on top of drinking and women. So that's a bad mix. So in high school, I was able to graduate high school early. I had my first son when I was 16 years old. I just turned 17. And when he was born, I seen him. I says, God, I love football, but I love my child even more. So I enlisted into the military. I enlisted into college because I graduated high school early, so I could leave as a E3, which is like a higher rank when you have college credits going into boot camp. And after boot camp, I would have been an E4. My father, he did 20 years in the military, and he advised me that, you can go into the military when you're 18, retire at 38. They can pay for your college. You can see the world. You can have all these benefits. You'll get paid more money being married. So that's what I did. I enlisted November of 2011, right after my son was born. And January 21st of 2012, 2 months after I enlisted, I had a signed Army contract, and I was just waiting to leave to boot camp. I would have been a 25 uniform, which is a computer specialist. And that night, I'm with my friends. We're partying, we're drinking. Now, everybody here, brother, is going to college or the military. You know, this 5 to 10 friends of mine, we all graduated high school early. We're all tight, we're all close. And during that time in 2012, I was smoking cool beans. That's synthetic weed. I had a older brother who was in the Navy. Says, man, you gotta smoke this stuff, man. You can pass a P test, man. Everybody's doing it. He comes home, I smoke it, and you know, with cool beans, all you need is one hit, and you're cuckoo, you know. So I was smoking that night, and man, I got toasted that night, and the party's winding down. Some people are able to leave. I go outside. They said, nah, Jarvis, man, you are too drunk to drive. Just spend the night here. I said, you know what? That is a good idea. So everybody goes back in the house. They take my keys. I'm outside smoking a cigarette. And instead of going back to the house party, I ended up across the street. Now I'm banging on this door for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm trying to get them to come to the door. I'm calling their cell phone. Nobody's picking up. And at this time, man, I said, dude, I need to go to sleep. So I kicked down the door. I remember the noise and everything. And when I got into the house, there was a gun pointed at my head. I said, oh my God, sir, I am so sorry. And before you know it, I wake up in the emergency room. My right eye is swollen. I can't see out of it. My head is hurting. I have all these stitches on my head. I'm handcuffed to the bed, and the deputy says, son, you are lucky to be alive. You just try to break into a cop's house. I says, get out of here, a cop's house. Why in the world would I do that? I've never been in trouble before. I've never been arrested. I had this bright future ahead of me. And then I spent like 13 days in jail, and the NCAAP hopped on my case. My dad got me a lawyer, and I bonded out after 13 days. And I fought my case for 8 months. I was working at like Labor Ready. I was still going to college, and I'm thinking this whole time that, hey, they're just gonna slap me on the wrist. You know, did I make a mistake? I did. You know, I did make a mistake, but I had no intentions to rob him, to kill him, to steal from him, to burglarize. I was just looking for a sofa to crash so I could wake up. And that's how I got involved with the justice system. And it took 8 months to fight my case. And on August 30th of 2012, I had a pre-sentencing court date, and I could either take it to trial or plead mercy. Now, during my time when I spent 13 days in jail, I seen some cats turn down 5 years and take it to trial and get bound with 25 years. I said, man, I'm not taking this to trial. I pleaded mercy. And the judge, he hit his gravel and said, Jarvis Guthrie, I think you're a fine young man. You do have a bright future, but you're going to pay for what you did for the night. So I was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 3 years of house arrest for breaking into a police officer's house.
Man, the night that everything changed, huh?
Yes.
Man, I say it all the time, people, places, and things. You know, those are some of the three things that'll dictate where you're going in life or where you've been, right?
Yeah.
And so you talk to these young cats out there, right? This is going global. This is going nationwide. This is going into the prison system. Talk to these guys out there who say, oh, Jarvis, it's just weed. Oh, I'm just vaping.
Nah, man. Anything that you put into your body that alters your mind from being sober, you're deceived, you know. So what we will do is we'll try to use liquor and marijuana to fulfill a void that's supposed to be fulfilled by God. You know, we are supposed to be receiving his unconditional love, but we try to replace that with worldly things. And that's why sometimes we get off to the left and to the right, because we're not receiving God's grace and his mercy and all his love.
Man, that's some good words of wisdom right there. So when you look back at that night, you take full responsibility, or do you blame your brother for the beans?
My first 6 months, I was very angry, very angry. I was suicidal. I was depressed.
Yeah.
And when I met a prison volunteer, it changed my life forever. he came in there and said, son, as a man thinks in his heart, so he becomes. And he preached John chapter 15. And oh my God, that's when my life changed. And that's when I began to, accept full responsibility. You know what? I was drinking. My friends ain't put no gun to my head. I chose to drink, so it's easy to blame other people. But once you finally accept responsibility for what you did, life becomes so much easier. So now, 10 years later, I'm still under my pastor's wing. So dad, that prison volunteer, he turned into be my pastor. Just a divine relationship. And check this out. I break into a cop's house and I get let out of prison by a cop. My pastor is a police officer. He's retired now. He did 27 years as a Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and he was on the SWAT team. And he told me when I got out, he said, son, that was a SWAT police officer that you broke into. And the whole academy was laughing at him because he didn't kill you. Because, SWAT police officers are trained a little more higher than a regular police officer. And that officer ended up moving to Denver. I've reached out to him to amend things, to ask for forgiveness, to let them know that, hey, this really was a one-time mistake, and I can kind of feel he still feels a certain way. And I actually ran into his brother in a convenience store, and me and his brother just hugged and cried because we all have mutual friends. And his brother heard my story and his brother's story. And, I did my part and asked for forgiveness, from him, but I can still tell that there's tension, there. So,
man, as long as you did your part, that's pretty fantastic though.
Yeah.
I like that. So when you're in prison, you meet the pastor 6 months in, right? So you plus or minus got a year left. How was your prison experience? And when you were inside, what did you find out about yourself and what you wanted to do with the rest of your life?
Brother, it was off the chain, man. Hey, coffee, conversations, and Christ, man. It was a takeover, man. So I was in the prison with young men, 18 to 24 years old, man. And just being able to hear people's stories, their mistakes, being able to see how blessed I really was. Because every time I had a new cell, a new bunkie, he was either poor, didn't get no letters, he didn't get no phone calls, he didn't get no pictures. And going from being a selfish person to having all these bunkies that were poor, that's how God began to change my heart. And he taught me how to give. He taught me how to love. Because if this was able to happen outside of prison, I want to be who I am today. I would have been Jonah. Me, Jarvis Guthrie, being a preacher, a drunkard, a homemonger, a fornicator. Man, people ain't gonna believe I'm no preacher, man. Get out of here, God. I remember the day he called me, which was May 13th of 2013. He said, son, I want you to be a preacher. I said, yeah, right. I jumped on my top bed and hid under my covers. He says, I can't be no preacher. I'm reading this Bible. God, are you going to call me to be a lawyer, a doctor, a police officer? What is my purpose in life? And God says, preacher. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do as a preacher?
Man, that's fantastic. So you felt it inside. And I think that's what's so cool is, the people that are watching this and in life in general, the stories that I love are the stories that happen in the pit. And, those are biblical stories, right? And those are stories of today's world. Like, we don't wake up the way that Instagram wants to tell us, with 6 filters on our face, no dishes in the sink, everybody's matching uniforms for family photos. That's not real, man. Right. Like the process and the pain, that's the stuff that makes greatness.
Yes, it was just unbelievable. And one of my best friends, he was a gospel rapper. And one day he was rapping, beating on his chest, and he said SSBG. And that word right there, it just stuck my spirit, man. I said, what is it? SSBG, man? That thing sounds good. He says, man, we're sinners saved by grace. I said, oh my God, that's mine now. Can I have it? He said, yeah, you can have it. So we started a Bible study in our dorm with the 3 of us, and it was life-changing, man. We just seen the whole dorm just change, man. What's the great thing about inside the prison, you're able to see God's glory, unlike in churches. You're able to see breakthrough. You're able to see deliverance. You're able to see men grow in Christ. And it's just unbelievable, man. It's like being at a movie premiere with your popcorn and nachos and your cheese and watching God's glory. And I've been hooked ever since of me being incarcerated. And my first year out of incarceration, my mom dies.
Yeah.
My third year out of incarceration, I lose my brother to a mental illness, the one that was smoking cool beans. Now he's mentally ill. Then my fifth year, when recidivism is at 85%, I lost my dad on top of getting my bachelor's, because recidivism is actually increasing and it's supposed to decrease. But I understand, because not only being a convicted felon, man, you have life on top of our charges, man, you know, and just seeing those stats and seeing what I went through during that year 1 and year 3 and year 5, man, I have a heart for that. So I've been out of prison since 2014, and I've been doing prison ministry for the past 2 years, man. So now I go back into the prisons because I'm trying to deposit what's been deposited into my life to others, which is, you know, Christ and all these good nuggets and, you know, words of hope and anything I can give these men. That's why I go back. So currently I'm in 3 adult facilities and also 3 juvenile facilities. And man, it costs more to incarcerate youth. We're talking about from $50,000 to $150,000 to incarcerate juveniles, man. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
It blows my mind, bro.
Yeah. It's an amazing statistics. And I really wish that the stats spoke for themselves. You know, you have them on your website and you and I know, and we can recite them. You know, the United States incarcerates more people than any other country on the planet.
Yeah.
And you start to really break down, like you said, the recidivism rate, when you're talking 85%, when you're looking at the prison industry as a business, and this business is failing people 8.5 times out of 10, that should be a failing business. But what's interesting, it goes the other direction. Every year they get more people, more money, more funding, more support. And I say it all the time. People are probably sick of hearing it, but if you had 8 airplanes fall out of the sky every morning, you'd have no people on airplanes next year.
Brother, this prison system was not designed to rehabilitate people. You know, this is sincerely the most profitable business in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at 180 billion.
Yeah.
You know, it's more when you look at all the different factors. Yeah, it's 80 billion to incarcerate us, but it's just so many different factors. You know, where do we start? Because I feel like David with that slingshot every time I go to these prisons, man, trying to knock the head off that prison, boy, I tell you. But it starts with one person, because I say it humbly, I see the effects that God has had in my life, you know, in and through me. That's why I keep going back, man. If we can just help one person, generations change, my brother. Communities change. So with my ministry, the people I'm going after is the violent criminals, because my charge is classified as violent. So if the population is 70% violent charges, it's easy for nonprofits to parry chick. You know what I'm saying? They're parry chicking the 30%, the nonviolent charges, to make their programs look good, to get the government funding, but they're turning away the murderers, the robbers, the assault, the sexual stuff. You know what I'm saying? So this is not a white issue, a black issue, a Republican issue, or Democrat. This is a humanity issue, bro.
Yeah.
It's about people, humanity, man.
No, you're spot on there. So tell people what is Saved by Grace ministry. Obviously, you got that. You told the story. You got that from when you were locked up with the homie in the cell. But what do you guys do on a daily basis? Tell people. I love your unique spin on it. And what do you want to do?
Right. So what we want to do, we have a 3-pillar model where we're spending 1 year inside of these prisons with the men. The greatest thing that you can give somebody who's incarcerated is love and a relationship. So each time I'm going into these prisons as a volunteer, and we're like oysters. We open up and they have some pearls, man, some talents. So after they complete the 1 year prison ministry, when my dad died, I inherited 60 acres of farmland, and there's about 40 acres of green pasture and 20 acres of woods. And these men are going to be able to come live on my farm for free for a whole year, because the biggest factor that we need as returning citizens is an opportunity to heal, man. You know, whether you've done 1 year or 20 years, we need that time to heal, because there's no healing in prison. I promise you, it's not. Everybody goes through a psychological or mental illness, or, you know what I'm saying? That we all experience some type of psychological
big time trauma.
You know, so being able to use this farm as a healing center, where we're going to do like CSAs, farmer markets, discipleship activities. And the most important thing is to have that relationship with Christ, because your life is not found in a book, in a program, in a job. Your life is found in Christ. So having this year, that makes 2 years that the men are with me. And then the third year, before my dad died, we ran a semi-trucking business. We had 5 semi-trucks. So I'm very great with computers and all the paperwork. I just didn't know how to drive the truck. But I did get my Class A CDL when I was in prison. I just need to pass the driving test. So I really want to do box trucks, or like cargo vans, where we have like dedicated routes. So our men will be able to come home every day, because my dad did 20 years in the Navy. Then he did 20 years as a truck driver. He was never home, man. You know, so even though he sacrificed and he provided for his family, which was great, at the end of the day, we just want our dad, man. He was our best friend. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to have that burden on people where they're, you know, over the road to try and make this money, because you can make great money, you know, driving box trucks. And I want to name the company Second Chance Logistics, you know, so if employers, if they don't want to hire people with violent charges, they can hire my company, you know. So it has taken 10 years for God to birth this vision in me, you know. I love Les Brown. He says this: it's better to be prepared with no opportunities than having an opportunity and not being prepared. So seeing guys like yourself on LinkedIn, seeing all these great organizations and people with really great success, I don't fret at that, because I know my time is coming. I'm actually celebrating and cheerleading, because you guys are paving the way for people like myself and bringing hope to employers and also to the world. So if anybody's watching who's starting off in the reentry, just be patient. You know, let God develop you. Let him form what's inside of you and let him birth that out of you, because you want to be prepared. Fruit also ripens. You know, we want to be able to be fruitful and to replenish. You know, we don't want to be rotten and unprepared and ripen. So that's what God has given me. I'm currently waiting on my last permits, so I can start building. So once I get that permit approved, because I had to do all the survey and all these easements, once they give me the permit to start building, that's when I'm gonna start reaching out to companies for like corporate sponsorships and things of that nature. So we've been able to raise money these past few months that went to land clearing, that went to surveying the property and easements. And now we're just ready for God to open that door. And I know that he has already selected the people and companies for us to meet, you know, so I don't worry about finances. I don't worry about money. I just take it day by day.
I love it, man. Your faith is incredible. It's really just a testament, brother. I appreciate it so much. How does everybody find you? How do they get in touch with you? People are listening to this. They want to follow your journey. They want to support you.
I'm a big talker. My phone number is 904-236-7081. Call me, or you can email me at savedbygraceministries@outlook.com, or you can find me on Instagram, Saved by Grace Ministries, LinkedIn, Jarvis Guthrie. And also my website is www.savedbygraceministries.net.
I love it, man.
Sold to the man with the gold tooth in his mouth.
There it is. There it is, man. I love it. I love everything about it, man. What you're doing, where you've come from. And like you said, I think it's such a testament to like so many of us. I was in a similar situation as you. Like I didn't grow up in the criminal justice industry. You know, I wasn't a troubled teen. You know, I didn't get into meth at 14. You know, none of that nonsense. Like a lot of these individuals go through, which sucks. But, you know, here you and I both get sentenced to 2 years. And, you know, I remember, you know, when we first connected, I was like, this is incredible, man. Like taking from felon to farmer right?
Yeah.
And you really go back to, like, I look at kind of symbolism of things. You know, the
Mhm.
world is really built by your two hands, by everybody's two hands. And
Yeah.
there's so much that's therapeutic about that. Not only are
Mhm.
you creating something, but you're also building something inside yourself at the same time. And I think
Yeah.
that what your process of showing individuals that you can give back the land, you can give back to the people, and then at the same time you can give back to yourself to rehabilitate yourself. So I love everything you're doing, man. Saved by Grace Ministries down in Florida, Jarvis Guthrie. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for your time.
Oh man, thank you, brother, because that land it healed me. You
Yeah,
know, so as a shepherd going out there, I see the effects that it had on me. You know, because I lost my parents within 3 years, bro. You know, it was very hard, man, and just being able to have that resilience and that faith, and going to that land, it changed everything, man. So this whole time when I was in prison, God had all these works. He had us already, man. You know, and He was preparing me. So I'm very excited for this opportunity to show the world, because I believe that this is a replicable model for other states, other farmers to use their land to be able to help people before they're being released to the communities, you know? So here I am, and thank you so much.
awesome, brother. I appreciate it, man. We'll be in touch soon.
All right, sounds good, brother.